Middlesbrough's quest to secure promotion starts now. The club have already brought in a couple of new faces, while Hayden Hackney has already left the club to join Everton in the Premier League. So that means that Kim Hellberg has some big decisions to make around his current playing squad. Now, a number of the players will be dead certs to stick around at the Riverside Stadium. Some could be sold on. Some may benefit from a season out on loan. Here's who I think Middlesbrough should keep, sell and loan going into the new season if we're going to go on and secure promotion. Here we go. The first player on the list is Seny Dieng. Now, it seems almost inevitable that Middlesbrough will be looking to try and move him on. He was a complete no-show, really, for Middlesbrough last season. Feels like he's fallen way down the pecking order. He has featured in pre-season under Kim Hellberg, but with Middlesbrough searching for a backup goalkeeper to challenge Sol Brynn going into this season, it still feels like the need will be to move Seny Dieng on. He is one of the highest earning players at the club. It feels like the time's right for him to move on. If Middlesbrough are able to do a deal, I would expect Middlesbrough to sell before the end of the transfer window. Sol Brynn was Middlesbrough's #1 goalkeeper last season, and while he did have a couple of hairy moments, most notably in the playoff final, he did have a really decent season. It was his first season at Championship level, but he will be in need of competition this season. Now, Middlesbrough may be looking to upgrade in the other goalkeeping department if we are to take that next step to try and secure promotion this season. But I think selling him this summer would be a little bit hasty. So in my opinion, I'd be looking to keep Sol Brynn at the club this summer. Moving into defence and Callum Britton, it feels almost inevitable that he'll be looking to stay at the club this season. He had a really impressive first campaign at the Riverside Stadium last term. Really, really impressive at right back, and it feels like it's his spot to lose going into this season. Now, Kim Hellberg might be looking to bring in some reinforcements to add a little bit of competition for places for him, but certainly Callum Britton should be sticking around at the Riverside, and for me, it's a dead cert that he'll be sticking around. He's a keep. Luke Ayling was one of the surprise packages last season. He'd had a pretty torrid 6 months under Michael Carrick due to injury, and it seemed like his playing days could be coming to an end, but really, he managed to wind back the clock last season with some really impressive performances. Now, it remains to be seen how much game time he's going to get this season. It depends what the squad will look like at the end of the summer transfer window, but given that he's just signed a new contract with the club, and given how big a leader he is in this group, he's undoubtedly someone that Middlesbrough want to stick around at the club this season. So for me, it's a keep all day long. Alfie Jones was an early contender for Player of the Season last year. His first half of the campaign was pretty incredible at Championship level, playing a really integral part in Middlesbrough's defence. Unfortunately, injuries derailed him in the second half of the season, but after heading off to the World Cup with Canada, his confidence will be really, really high coming into the new campaign. It's going to be a big season for Alfie Jones. He could have a big role to play under Kim Hellberg, so undoubtedly for me, it's a keep. Keep him at the club. George Edmondson, probably the first player that I'm going to say that we should be selling this summer. Now, I haven't really been that impressed with him since he moved to Middlesbrough. Obviously, he's now here on a permanent basis. That happened around about 18 months ago, but last season he barely featured, couldn't really break into the first team plans, and when he did, just didn't really look that impressive. Now, we do have other options in central defence. We are likely to be signing another central defender following Dael Fry's exit as well. And for me, he seems like the kind of player that should move on. Need to get him off the wage bill, get a little bit of money for him, and then ultimately try and upgrade in that department if we are going to go on to secure promotion. So for me, he needs to leave. Adelson Malander, another really, really easy one. He only arrived at the club in January and was really impressive in his first few months of the season. Had a couple of ropey performances as he was adapting to life in England, but overall, a really, really good start to life at Middlesbrough, and a player who I really expect to kick on another really strong season this season. For me, he has to stay all day long. Harley Hunt is possibly one of the most talented young players at the club at the moment. He arrived from Swindon Town with a big reputation, and for me, he's someone who could be a real future superstar for the club. If George Edmondson moves on, and obviously with Dael Fry having already moved on to join Birmingham City, I would really like to see Harley Hunt given an opportunity by Kim Hellberg, because I think he could be a player who might have a role to play in the first team this season. So for me, for Harley Hunt, keep. Neto Borges was a player that I really enjoyed watching in his first season at the club. He did a really good job, adapted to life in England quite nicely, playing at left back and central defence. But then last summer, he headed out on loan to Bristol City, where he spent the full season. Now, Kim Hellberg has said that all of the players who headed out on loan last season, including Neto Borges, could have a role to play in the first team this season. But I just don't really see where he fits into this team. I can't really see him playing at centre back. I can't really see him playing at left back. So for me, Neto Borges is someone who could move on this summer. For me, it's a sell. Alex Bangura, another player who shows real promise when he is on the pitch. I think when you see him playing, when you actually get to see him at the Riverside Stadium, he is an exciting player, someone who's got lots of energy, lots of pace, someone who could be really, really effective at left back. But just with those injuries, we just haven't seen it enough. For me, he might be someone who Middlesbrough might need to cash in on, someone that we can cut our losses on and maybe bring in someone who's a little bit more reliable in terms of fitness. So for me, I'd be looking to sell Alex Bangura. Finn Monroe, now he arrived in January this year with a big reputation, arrived from Aston Villa. He'd been on loan with Swindon Town, working under Ian Holloway, who waxed lyrical about how good he was. He's played a couple of times for Middlesbrough, but hasn't really impressed. Of course, Middlesbrough are looking to sign a left back this summer. So if that happens, then you'd imagine that Finn Monroe will be even further down the pecking order. I don't think we'll be looking to cut our losses on him just yet, but perhaps a loan deal to maybe a League One side could be the ideal thing for him to really kick on, get some regular first team football and see how he gets on over the next 12 months. I'd be looking to loan him out this summer. Aidan Morris, we don't really need to spend too much time on him because undoubtedly Middlesbrough will want to keep him at the club. He was absolutely incredible last season, one of our best players, came second in the Player of the Year vote behind Hayden Hackney, but could have easily won it himself. Now, for me, he's someone who is probably a front runner to become the captain of the first team this summer, with Dael Fry moving on and Hayden Hackney as well. So he's going to have a massive role to play this season. So for Middlesbrough, they have to keep him at all costs. Law McCabe, he's facing a big season, really. Last summer, I thought he was going to kick on and become a first-team regular. He played really well in that friendly against Rangers at Ibrox. Looked really, really good on the ball and looked like it was going to be his time to really step up. But it didn't really happen for him. He went out on loan to Plymouth last season, didn't really get the game time that he wanted. Then he came back in January and once again didn't really play under Kim Hellberg. So it'll be interesting to see whether he does get an opportunity in pre-season. He may well, given that Middlesbrough don't have many central midfield options, he could be given an opportunity to play Middlesbrough in the early stages of the season. But in all likelihood, it's probably quite likely that he's going to move on this summer. Sell. Abdoulaye Kante, everyone was so excited when he arrived last summer under Rob Edwards. A really exciting young player, dynamic, covered loads of ground on the pitch and looked in the early days like he could be a real star in the making. Now, that sort of fell apart a little bit, obviously, with Rob Edwards leaving the club. He didn't feature under Kim Hellberg, spent the second half of the season on loan with Saint Etienne in France. It seemed like that was going to turn into a permanent deal if they could secure promotion. They didn't secure promotion, but there's still rumours that they could be coming in with a permanent move for him. I think with Kante clearly wanting to move back to France, that seems to be the murmurs. He doesn't really seem like the kind of profile that will thrive under Kim Hellberg as well. So I would be very, very surprised if he stuck around at Middlesbrough this season. For me, it's sell Kante. Riley McGree, a player who is just incredible for us. One of our best players on his day. Someone who's got real high quality technique. He's got real football intelligence. Someone who's absolutely integral to how we play in the attacking third. He absolutely has to stay at the club. We have to keep him first and foremost. The only consideration really will be about how fit he's going to be and how many games he's going to play over the course of a season. Do we need to bring someone in who can provide competition for places with him? Are we able to put all of our money on Riley McGree to play a key part for us this season? Or are we going to be likely looking at the possibility that he could miss a fair few matches through injury? That's a consideration that we have to make. But for me, undoubtedly, given his quality, he has to stay at the club, so he's a keep all day long. Leo Castledine, he arrived in the January transfer window, a really exciting young player. We saw little glimpses of what he could have to offer, but of course he did suffer an injury as well, which sort of derailed his second half of the season. I mean, now the decks have been cleared a little bit with Hayden Hackney moving out, so I really expect that this season will be a big campaign for Leo Castledine. I think he could be a real future star for Middlesbrough as well. We'll be looking to keep him at the Riverside this season. Delano Bergzorg, a player who kind of falls into that same category as Neto Borges. He went out on loan in January to Bristol City. Kim Hellberg clearly decided that he wasn't the player that he ideally wanted to be playing in his attack, and I can't really see that changing this summer. Middlesbrough will be looking to bring in a number of attacking options in those forward areas, particularly off that left flank, and I just can't really see Delano Bergzorg being a first-team regular at Middlesbrough this season. So for me, someone who's going to move on. For me, it's a sell. Tommy Conway, another really easy one. He's going to be staying at Middlesbrough this season. He was really good last season. I know we got a little bit of criticism for his goal tally, but in terms of his work rate, what he brings to the team, and the fact that Kim Hellberg absolutely adores him, means that I'll be absolutely staggered if he was to move on this summer. I think he's going to have a big role to play again this season. Of course, he has to overcome an injury first, but he's going to be sticking around at the Riverside Stadium. For me, keep. Morgan Whittaker, a player who divides opinion, but of course you can't really argue with his output last season. A high number of goals, Middlesbrough's top goal scorer, and someone who was really, really effective on a lot of occasions last season. I mean, a lot of questions can be asked about his work rate at times, but I think ultimately you pay for the end product. I think the fact that he did score so many goals last season, I think it would be foolish to move him on unless we got an offer that was absolutely too difficult to turn down. So for me, he has to stay at the Riverside. He could have a big role to play in Middlesbrough's forward line this season. Keep. Mika Hamilton, it just hasn't happened for him at Middlesbrough. He arrived from Manchester City with a really big reputation. He played in the Champions League for Man City, someone who really looked like someone who might follow in the footsteps of someone like Morgan Rogers and kick on and become a Premier League player, but we just haven't seen it. He's had his opportunities under Rob Edwards. He had them under Kim Hellberg as well over the festive period, and it just hasn't happened. I mean, Middlesbrough only had 23 players in their 25-man squad last season, and Middlesbrough chose not to include Mika Hamilton in it. So it feels almost inevitable that he's going to move on. And the reports were suggesting that he is free to undergo trials with other clubs, whether that's with a view to a loan move or a permanent move. But I just can't see him at Middlesbrough this season. So for me, it's probably a sell. Sanjay Hansen, another player that is quite difficult to decide because he kind of flattered to deceive last season. We didn't really see the best of him. We saw little moments, but I think you could see that under Kim Hellberg, he didn't really trust him to carry out the instructions of what he wanted in one of his forward players. We showed a few moments. He did an interview with the Northern Echo after the playoff final and said that he needs to basically kind of get his head down if he wants to break into this first team. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sanjay Hansen was a player who was moved on this summer. Not because he's not good enough, not because he won't feature, but maybe just because there'll be a better fit available in the transfer market for Kim Hellberg. So while it's unsure, it might not be the case, but I personally think that Sanjay Hansen could be sold this summer. Jeremy Sarmiento, now he arrived on loan in January. That move got made permanent this summer in a 3.4 million deal. Now a lot of fans aren't particularly happy with that because we saw very little from him in the second half of the season, but I think he will be sticking around at the Riverside Stadium. For me, it's a keep, but it is a big, big season for Jeremy Sarmiento. He's got a big task on to win over supporters, but we have seen players do it in the past. We saw Morgan Whittaker do it with some of his goals last season, but yeah, Sarmiento undoubtedly facing a big season to prove himself as a first-team player at Middlesbrough this season. Cali Sen, someone who started so well at the club last season, arrived last summer under Rob Edwards, scored a couple of crucial goals along the way and looked like he could be someone who might adapt quite nicely to life in the Championship. It just didn't really happen as the season unfolded. Fell down the pecking order under Kim Hellberg, fell completely out of the picture in the back end of the season. So for me, I can't see him sticking around. I can't see him playing a role under Kim Hellberg this season. So for me, it's a sell for Cali Sen. Cruz eBay, now he's someone who is a really talented young player, someone who's clearly highly rated at the Riverside by Kim Hellberg. He's someone who was in the matchday squad on a regular basis, got on the pitch in the back end of the season, still very, very young. I think he's only 18 years of age, but a really, really talented player. Now, I think that he could have a role to play this season. I don't think he should be heading out on loan. I think he should be kept around the first team squad and maybe get some game time as the season goes on. He could have a big role to play. He's a big, powerful unit in attack, and so for me, he could be really, really important and have a role to play and make an impact at first team level. So for me, Cruz eBay, I'd be keeping him. The last player on our list is David Strelec. Now, of course, he arrived last summer. It's a big fanfare. He was Middlesbrough's marquee signing last summer, and while he's scored a few good goals, he showed glimpses of what he has to offer. He has been a little bit disappointing in terms of his overall output over the course of the campaign. He scored some goals, but in terms of his form and his fitness, he hasn't really made the impact that a lot of supporters would have wanted from him. Now, the question mark will be whether Kim Hellberg wants to keep him at the club or whether he wants to sell him on and use that money to reinforce in other areas. But for me, I think I saw enough from David Strelec last season to think that he could have a big role to play for Middlesbrough this season. It will be a big campaign for him, but he does have the potential to be a really, really important player for Middlesbrough's attack. I think he could be the goal scorer that we need to help us kick on and to secure promotion this season if he can stay fit over the course of the full campaign. He's got off to a good start in pre-season. I just want to see a little bit more of it as the season gets underway. So for me, David Strelec has to stay. So that's what I think about Middlesbrough's first team squad and whether they should stay at the club. But what do you think? Drop into the comments below. Let me know what you think about Middlesbrough's first team players, who you would keep, who you would sell, who you would loan out, and drop into the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have enjoyed this video, please do hit like, please do hit subscribe as well, and I will catch up with you next time.